Hello everyone, it's Kari, and today I'm going to be using this beautiful love background stamp to do some ombre stamping. I have a couple of different card ideas to show you today, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to set this up in my MISTI using the creative corners to bring my cardstock away from the edge a little bit. And I thought that I would need a bigger magnet than just that little circular magnet, so I'm going to change it out for the bar magnet here. That'll keep my paper in place when I do the stamping. I have 4 different colors of pink ink from scrapbook.com. These are their hybrid inks and I really like them. And I'm going to start with the lightest color, and that's called Ballet Slipper. And to get this, I have not used this stamp before, so I'm just going to kind of wipe it off with the palm of my hand, and that'll help get it prepared for stamping. I'll use a couple of different inkings for this lightest one so you can read it. It is harder to see in the video than it is in real life, so it is just a touch darker. I'll go on to the second color here, and I'm just going to wipe away some of those edges that I've stamped so I don't get any harsh color changes here. I want this to be a soft ombre, and so just wiping it away with a little tissue really helps with that. I'll start on the third color now, and I'm just going to go ahead and ink up all the rest of it here, and we'll stamp that a couple of times as well. I decided that after I stamped it a few times, I decided that it needed a little bit more darkness towards the bottom, so I am going to go ahead and use the fourth color here, and I'll just ink up the very last portion of that stamp, wipe off a little bit of the harsh edges, and stamp that down a couple of times. It's hard to tell the color variation here, but I did stamp it a number of times and it created a really nice ombre look. I really like this idea, and so I decided to go ahead and try it in some other colors as well. But I wanted to make sure I got that cleaned off really well. I'm using my absorber cloth that's kind of like a stamp chamois, and also my ink cleaner, my stamp cleaner rather, which I really like. It's got a sponge dauber top. And then just wipe that away, and it all came clean, even that dark red. So that's another reason I like those hybrid inks from scrapbook.com. It really cleans up nicely on my inks. I'm going to use 3 different colors of Distress Oxides now. This first one is the Twisted Citron, one of my favorite colors of Distress Oxides. It's funny because I think I probably say that to all of the ink colors. I have a lot of favorite ink colors. As I'm making this, I'm thinking about next week is Christmas, and I was just thinking about how I have quite a few more Christmas cards to make. With Christmas less than a week away, I don't think I'm going to get them all sent out. Do you make Christmas cards? Anyway, just back to the card here, I wanted to point out, I left this in here to show you that my stamp did move just a little bit when I tried to stamp with this color, and so I just decided, you know what, we're going to turn it over and start again. There is more than one way to get a card made. So I'm going through and doing this all over again, and the second color I use is Lucky Clover, the third is Peacock Feathers. But now I wanted to talk a little more about Christmas. Our family traditions are we get together with my family Christmas Eve morning, and we all have breakfast together and we eat cake for breakfast. It's one of my favorite traditions. My whole family comes, my kids, my brothers, my sisters, my parents, and everybody's kids, and it's a really fun time. We do some gift exchanges between all of us, have some breakfast, play some games, and then Christmas Eve night we go to my husband's family, and we also do the same thing. We usually have dinner together, open some packages, and play some games. And then Christmas morning, I have a nice quiet morning. I usually am preparing for Christmas dinner that night because everybody, at least all my kids and my parents and my husband's mom, comes over for Christmas dinner. And so we do some more games and gifts and dinner, and so I'm really looking forward to it. Here's these panels all done, and I'm just going to cut them down to fit so that I have a border around them. I'm using these Waffle Flower A2 rectangle dies, which are one of my favorites that I've found this year. I've used them quite a lot. So I'm cutting that one down, and it's going to fit on this pink card panel here. And there's the card base, and I'm going to leave that card base white. I'm adding this flower that's from Altenew, and now I'm going to stamp out a sentiment from the same stamp set. I think I ended up choosing the Love You stamp. So I'm going to white heat emboss that on some black cardstock. I'll use my embossing buddy bag first so that I make sure so I don't get any stray embossing powder in places I don't want it. I'm going to set this up in my MISTI so I can stamp it twice with the Versamark ink. There's the embossing bag, and now I'll stamp it and then heat emboss that. So I will cut this down to fit on the card. Every time I break out these Valentine's cards, by the way, did I mention that these are from the Hedgehog Hollow December kit? So it came with quite a few beautiful Valentine stamps. So I wanted to play around with them today. This background love stamp is one of my favorites, which is why I'm using that today. So there's the heat embossed sentiment, and I'm just going to cut that down to fit on the front of the card. And we can start putting this together now. I'm using my favorite liquid adhesive right now. This is the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive. You just need a little bit of this glue, and I just put a small bead all across the edges and through the middle, and it has really worked well for me. I've been using this for quite some time now, and I've tested out some other adhesives. I keep going back to this one. I'll go ahead and put that on the top folding card, and you can see there's a little extra white space at the bottom there. So I'm going to just trim this just a little bit so that it is all even on all sides. And now this flower that I mentioned, it's the Anemone flower from Altenew, another one of my favorites from this year. I keep going back to this one. It's a multi-layer stamp flower, so you can use all your colors of ink, and it just creates the most beautiful layered stamped flower. You don't have to color it. This was all stamped. Love that. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get that to line up there. I am going to trim off that other edge a little bit so that it fits perfectly on the front panel. And now it's just a matter of putting it all together. I did end up using some 3M foam tape on the flower. This is going to be our first Valentine card. Actually, you can use it all year round because it's always appropriate to tell your loved ones that you love them, right? This is the stamp set that I use. Just wanted to show you that real quick. I love it. Now, the next one that I'm going to do is the blue and green panel there. Those are some also beautiful colors for Valentine's Day. You don't have to stick with the traditional reds and pinks. And this one I'm going to cut a front panel with this heart die. This heart die has some stitched detail around the edges, so when I cut this out, the front panel will have a heart cut out and also some stitching around each of those hearts, which I really liked. I have absolutely no idea where I got this die. It was sitting on my desk, and I think it's a one of a kind. I don't really know where it came from, so I'm sorry I cannot link it below for you. But I loved how it fit 3 hearts on the front panel, which is just the look I was going for, so that they will open up and peek open to the love background there. To finish this off, I did not want to trim this whole thing down because the hearts were so close to the edge. So instead I have this inked frame that I did earlier with some alcohol inks, and there were quite a few white spaces, so I just added a little blue there so that it still had some variation in color, but it wasn't so stark with the differences. So this is going to be our second Valentine card. I'll go ahead and glue that front white panel on. It seems I'm having a little trouble holding that panel, but I'll glue that on to the love, and then we'll glue on the frame and attach that also to a top folding card. So there's the frame, and it's looking pretty good, but these cards need a little something to finish them off. For the pink card, I'm adding some Black Nouveau drops. Sometimes I create these in advance on some release paper and let them dry. So I have a whole bunch of different sizes. That's what I did for this one today. And for the blue one, I'm going to add some clear sequins. I will just add these with my pickup stick here and some liquid adhesive. Very simple to add these on. It is a little easier to just go ahead and add the Black Nouveau drops right directly to your card, but I like to make sure that I have them perfect sometimes. That's why I create them in advance and I put them on this way for this one. There's the rest of those sequins, and that completes our cards for today. I hope I gave you some inspiration for using this love background and doing some ombre stamping, and I hope you have a really, really happy holiday season. Oh, I did want to mention that sometimes when my white heat embossing isn't perfect, I will go ahead and take a white gel pen and just fix it up, add a few touch-ups there, and it turns out perfect. You can't even tell. So there you go. There they both are. I love this stamp. The background stamp is so fun to play with. Lots of different ideas that you can do with it. And so thank you so much for stopping by today. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you again. I'll be back real soon with some more inspiration. Until then, I hope you have a really great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.